Clarify here, you bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
But the people
I'm
on
taking
television
it from the city
saying
manager.
their dog was eaten by the people that went there.
That's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them like.
What did you do? Why'd you kill the cat? Smile for me. Smile with your teeth. Go like this. Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it? Did you guys see all this?
No, we pulled up and she was just laying there with him.
Did you see her eating it?
Eating it.
She was eating it?
Yeah, she was.
You call the Humane Society, see if they'll come pick this cat up. It's deceased.
What's going on, guys? So we got to talk about this insane debate bias. Okay, you see that they tried to debunk what Trump was saying about the whole Haitian migrants eating cats, which you saw the clip. Clear as day, this is a news story that has been reported. It's been reported to the police, and these fools still try to deny it. Okay, so this whole thing was 3 against 1. Everybody knows it, and Megyn Kelly is pissed. Okay, she is extremely angry. But before we get to that, you would not believe the audacity, the gall of CNN. These fools, clowns, dummies, tried to fact check Trump and said he told a bunch of lies, and they said that Kamala Harris only told one lie that night. My mind was freaking blown by this.
What stood out to you?
Jake, what stood out was that this was a staggeringly dishonest debate performance from former President Trump. Just lie after lie on subject after subject. By my preliminary count, Jake, Trump made at least 33 false claims, 33. By contrast, by, again, a preliminary count, Vice President Harris made at least 1 false claim, though she added at least a few misleading claims and a few more that lack key context.
These people are freaking just beyond belief. Like, there's so many people, like, it was so obvious and so egregious. Basically, everybody online is calling us out. Of course, people on the left, most of them not calling, some of them, but most of them not calling it out. But majority of people are calling out the 3-on-1. They still think Trump won the debate, which he did. And they think it's even more awesome that he won the debate because it was 3 against 1, but it was still a very unfair situation. And a lot of people are pissed about it. Donald Trump is even talking about they should potentially lose their license for it. Take a look.
What do you think of the moderators? I thought it was a 3-on-1 debate. I mean, the moderators kept interjecting. They kept giving supposed fact checks to Donald Trump when he was mostly right. Where were the fact checks of Kamala Harris? Where were the calling out of Kamala Harris and all of her false statements tonight? All of the lies about her positions? Where were those fact checks? So I think it was a 3-on-1 debate, but as is usual, President Trump did a pretty good job debating 3-on-1.
This is the frustrating part about tonight, the radicalization, the views stated by Kamala. You know, they weren't asked by the moderators. To me, it was a failed opportunity. I think the American people were failed tonight.
I was disappointed by the evident bias of the moderators who were fact-checking constantly, kind of trivialities by President Trump, but didn't, as far as I saw, they didn't fact-check Vice President Harris a single time.
They only asked the follow-ups to Donald Trump to try to pin him down. They tried to fact-check him, but fact-checking him on things that he was right on, like some of the late-term abortion laws in some of the liberal states. Donald Trump was right about that, and they incorrectly fact-checked him. They never fact-checked Kamala Harris. She repeated lies like the Charlottesville Fine People hoax and other things. Never called her to account. But you're right, Sean. From the very first question, she was asked, are Americans better off today than they were 4 years ago? She did not answer the question. She started rambling on about growing up in a middle-class family, which I'm sure is nice, but that doesn't answer why you have been in power for 3.5 years and Americans are worse off. They did not pin her down and ask follow-up questions on all her flip-flops. She acts like she's always been a big supporter of fracking, never addressed her open borders passed. And so, yes, it was a 3-on-1 debate. It was disappointing that she didn't have her feet held to the fire by the moderators. They went out of their way to try to do that to Donald Trump. But I think people that take away from this debate, even with all that, Donald Trump is the candidate that's going to change things. Kamala Harris is the candidate that, as President Trump said in his closing statement, she's been there 3.5 years. Why hasn't she fixed any of these problems during that time? She does not have an answer to that question.
I think he clarified and told the truth about a lot of things that Kamala Harris accused him of that were outright lies. She was trying to tell the American people that he supports a federal abortion ban. He does not. She tried to tell the American people that he's trying to ban IVF, something that's personal to me because it's something that my husband and I, for years, tried to start our own family through the use of IVF. It didn't work out for us, works out for a lot of families. President Trump was quick on the draw when that Alabama court ruled, and he immediately said, no, we have to protect IVF, and the Alabama state legislature took action. She continued to say things. She's trying to say he's trying to ban birth control. That is also 100% false. So President Trump, I think, did a good job in clarifying the truth after Kamala Harris continued to lob lie after lie at him, saying things that he stood for that frankly just are not true.
100% of the stories covered on ABC about Kamala, 100% of the time was positive. 93% of the time when they covered you, it was negative. So it was infuriating to watch them fact check you and not her when she brought up IVF, when she brought up Project 2025 several times, and when she brought up Charlottesville. Here are some of the lies that she said about you. Listen.
A detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied IVF treatments. If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking.
And the bloodbath, you were talking about the economy. It's a term that's used a lot when people are talking about a bad economy. What's your reaction to why didn't the moderators correct her?
Because they're dishonest, and because I think ABC took a big hit last night. I mean, to be honest, they're a news organization. They have to be licensed to do it. They ought to take away their license for the way they did that. Bloodbath was referring to the economy. Everybody loved the term because as soon as they heard the word, it's sort of a vicious word. But referring to the economy, they have created an economy. Bloodbath was the word that I used. And it was fine in that context. And they were trying to make it sound like there was a riot or something, and it was a bloodbath. IVF, I was a leader on IVF, the IVF, which is fertilization. I was a total leader on that. When I first heard about it, like right from the beginning, I was one of the leaders on it, and the Republican Party has been a leader on it. She tried to say it was just the opposite. The whole thing with abortion, what he said, I mean, it was incredible. I think he corrected me 6 times, and each time I was right. I believe each time I was right, didn't correct her at all, and she was saying these things. She was using, like, Charlottesville. She was using Charlottesville, and everybody, you take a look at Laura Ingraham, she did it incredibly. She had it totally debunked. She said that, in fact, it makes it angry. She gets angry when people hear about Charlottesville when they use that, because what they did is they stopped and they didn't put the following sentence in. And when they put the last sentence in, when it was all put together, what I said was absolutely perfect. And ABC knew that. Everybody knew that, frankly. I think they lost a lot of credibility. But regardless, look, the polls are saying that I won that by 80-20, 90. We have one here, 92-7, and I sort of believe that's right. I thought, look, I've been told I'm a good debater. I think it was one of my better debates, maybe my best debate. I think. I don't know. That's why I'm disappointed in this guy, Harold Ford. I don't know if he's still there, but I don't know what he was watching because he was just as dishonest as ABC, in my opinion.
What's hilarious is that Trump was still able to cook them irrespective of it being 3 against 1. That's like the funniest part about it is it was clearly unfair. Trump still destroyed not one, not two, but three of these wackos. Now I'm gonna go ahead and react to what Megyn Kelly has to say. She immediately goes in. Without further ado, let's get into it.
I'm disgusted. I'm ashamed of those moderators at ABC News. They did exactly what their bosses wanted them to do. The person who runs ABC News is a close personal friend of Kamala Harris, that is responsible for Kamala Harris and her husband meeting. And they did Dana Walden's bidding tonight. It was 3 against 1 on that debate stage this evening. Hi, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly, a special program tonight for you reacting to the debate. It was 3 against 1. It's very easy to look like you know what you're doing when both moderators are entirely on your side. Trump did the best he could under the circumstances, but it really was like 3 fighters in the ring pummeling one opponent. And Trump tried to take them all on. He did fine. He did as best as he could. He was thrown a few times to the point where he was unnecessarily defensive and he was getting angry. And so was I. Were you? This was a mistake to trust ABC News with this debate. The Republicans must learn from this mistake. The same way the Democrats never agree to do anything with moderators they don't entirely trust. This should be the last time the Republicans ever do this. Because those 2 moderators tried to sink Donald Trump tonight. The numerous fact checks on what he said and none on what she said. None.
0.
I don't remember a single fact check of anything she said, and she lied repeatedly. She just got away with it. In the moderator's eyes, that was Donald Trump's job to fact check her. That's correct. Except you didn't employ that same tactic when it came to Trump, and you accused him of lying even when it was your opinion that he lied. When Trump tried to say that his comment that he lost 2020 by a whisker was him being sarcastic, David Muir actually injected saying, I didn't hear sarcasm. Who gives a shit what you heard? Who died and left you political analyst in chief? You're supposed to be the objective news anchor of World News Tonight. That's a comment you make to your significant other, David, not on the debate. It didn't sound like that to me. Shut up. That is inappropriate. It's not for you to make that call. Leave it up to Kamala Harris. Leave it up to people like me who will play the soundbite and let the audience decide. But you were out of line, and they did it to him over and over and over again. And the worst piece of all of this is the obvious tactic by ABC News, which was as follows. Mr. Trump, you said something incredibly controversial and terrible. Let me remind you of what it was. Do you have any regrets or thoughts on how terrible you were? Trump answers, Vice President Harris, how bad is Trump? And then she'd answer, it happened over and over again. That was the format. Mr. Trump, you're a piece of shit. Kamala Harris, isn't he a shit? Thank you. It was incredible. And then anything Trump said, fact check, fact check, fact check. And their fact checks were full of shit. I'm swearing even more than normal right now because I'm mad. I'm angry. I'm angry at them.
I'm going to pause over just for a sec. So I think that people definitely are overreacting to Trump being angry or rattled. I don't think that he was angry or rattled at all. I mean, this is just how Trump talks. Like, Trump just talks like that. He does talk with some level of passion. But, I mean, whether he's as happy as can be at a rally or during a debate, he always talks the same. Like, these people are pouring into our country. Like, that's how he always talks. So I'm like, unless he's like at an event where it's like really quiet or something, but he probably purposefully wanted to put energy into it because they're trying to portray him as tired and old or whatever, because they know they ain't got to worry about Joe Biden no more. So now being old is a problem. So Donald Trump, I think, is just injecting energy. I think that people like Megyn Kelly herself are more angry than obviously somebody like Donald Trump. Trump clearly felt like great after the debate, as did I.
At ABC, at my industry, that I want nothing to do with. And I've never been happier to be outside and be able to say how I truly feel. And yes, even with some colorful words, because that's what the situation calls for. They're trying to steal this election. They're openly working to sink him. I think it was so bad, their bias against him and toward her, that it's going to backfire. I actually think the American public is going to see through this, and there's probably going to be some empathy for Trump. No fair-minded person could think anything other than that they were in the tank for him, and it was 3 against 1 on that stage tonight.
Well, funny that you mentioned that, Megyn, because there's tons of people all over the internet, which I don't have time to show like everything that I've seen, but I will show you guys one clip of somebody specifically saying that they're voting for Trump because of things like what we see here.
Yeah, it was very biased. It was so biased. And this is exactly why he has my vote. This is exactly why I'm voting for him. And y'all also noticed how Kamala Harris left her accent outside. Just so fake, disingenuous, phony.
Now, of course, the people who are like the hardcore leftists are going to be happy because they don't have that cadaver as their candidate anymore. So they're going to be happy pretty much about anything. Like if Kamala Harris made it through the debate without running off the stage crying, then they think that it's a win for them. Some of these people, again, said that they thought Joe Biden won the debate. Like some of these people are just delusional, guys. So stop trying to pretend like we're going to get these people to be reasonable. Like they're radical leftists. Again, Bill Maher said he'd vote for a head in a jar over Donald Trump. So they're going to just cap. They're going to make excuses. They're going to be happy if it's a 3-on-1 debate. They're going to not want to fact check the Democrats, and they're going to want to fact check the littlest, stupidest nitpicks about Donald Trump that they possibly can. They're okay with Project 2025 lies and find people on both sides lies and dictator on day one, bloodbath. They're okay with lying about that as long as their side wins. The unfortunate part about it for them is that their stupidity and hubris is going to cost them in the end, because CNN actually managed to keep some of their credibility on that day, even though toward the beginning they tried to, again, they tried to say Kamala Harris only lied one time, which is just flabbergasted. That's astounding as hell. But at least during the debate itself, CNN was fair. ABC, not so much. Donald Trump called it out. For crying out loud, they hired Donna Brazile. Donna Brazile she gave Hillary Clinton the answers in the past. So obviously that probably happened this time as well. And they were clearly against Trump, but he still kicked their ass. That's the most funniest part about it, is this isn't a complaint like, oh man, Trump lost because they were 3 against 1. Like, no, he still beat their ass. That's what's hilarious. And now Kamala Harris won a rematch. She wouldn't want a rematch if she won. And Donald Trump is basically saying, look, maybe if it's Fox News, I'll consider doing it. And I think that he should if it's like a Fox News debate, because obviously Kamala Harris can't handle herself outside of an environment that is perfect for her to set herself up to be in a winning position. But she's never going to agree to that. I don't think another debate is going to happen because she's too afraid. She's too chicken shit, if we want to keep it a buck, to go into situations where it might be some level of unfavorability. So, guys, we can probably kiss the chances of another debate goodbye. Donald Trump went into the lion's den again. He did it with NABJ, and he did it here. And yet again, he came out victorious, regardless of the fake news media bias. If anything, Donald Trump did God's work here, because he clearly keeps demonstrating that these people are extremely biased against him. These aren't the gotchas that the left think that they are. Actually, everything that they've really been doing has been screwing them over for like this whole election cycle. Donald Trump has continually went up and up and up because the left keeps doing all these underhanded things. And what do in order to start winning again? Do they build some integrity? Do they open up to the American people? Do they have more transparency? Nope, they lie and gaslight and try to cheat more and more and more, and they're gonna lose more and more and more, especially this upcoming November. They lost the last debate with Joe Biden. They lost this debate with Kamala Harris. If they do another debate, she's going to get her ass kicked again. And they're going to lose in November. In probably next election season, 2028, they're going to try and lie and gaslight their way even harder. And it's going to fail again and again. That's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate you watching the Black Anomaly Rising channel. I'm out.
Crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof. Despite their fraudulent statements that they made, crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the
Harris,
FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.